Hi and welcome to another free class with me, Sam Biddle. Welcome to Be Creative as well, and thank you so much for watching last month's tutorial. You loved it. Everybody loves the Neon Festival pigments. Yay! So do I. So this month I thought I'd have another play. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a similar application. I'm going to focus on getting that blending just right. But I'm going to show you how to do this beautiful woven design. Very simple. Your clients are going to love it. So let's get started. So I'm actually going to do two nails. I want to do a full coverage nail, but this design is going to look awesome on top of a French as well. So I've extended the nail bed and I'm just doing a second coat of white gel polish. I don't need to show you how to apply white gel polish, do I? No, I hope not. So I'm just doing a second coat of white gel polish. I've extended the nail bed with a nail bed pink and we're just going to do this on a tip for now. The reason why I do this on tips, guys, one is because I want you to see as much as possible. You can do this quite happily on a natural nail, but obviously on a tip for me it's easier. I can get some more videos out to you because I don't have loads and loads of clients that are going to sit there and wait for me to finish filming over and over again. So this is why I do a lot of tips. So now that we're ready to apply some pigment, I'm just going to move this over so that I've got a little bit more room. I'm going to work on both nails at the same time. Now I pick up the yellow. I always pick up the lighter shade first. And can you see how I actually dabbed a little bit off on the paper towel and then I came in onto the nail? The reason why I'm going to do that is because I don't want to have a solid line. So I dab a little bit away and I'm just removing some of that pigment off the brush. It is so rich. There is so much pigment into these powders that you really are only going to need the tiniest amount. So always use your paper towel and take off as much as possible on your brush and come back in and add some more. See how I got rid of some excess off my brush there with the pink? Pink pigment, pink and reds, they are very, very friendly and they actually spread a lot further than perhaps the other colours. So I always get off some excess first and then I come on to the nail and then I can add some later. It's better to be able to add some later than remove. And again with the purple, just take a little bit off your brush first and come in. Keep removing off your brush, especially with these neons. It's so important because the neons are completely matte. There is no glitter, no shimmer in them, which makes it difficult to ombre. Not impossible. And the reason why, because you've got nothing to hide behind. That shimmer and that glitter that you've got in those other glitters, or those other pigments, you hide behind those. So that's why it's a little bit more difficult, but it's not impossible. And the reason why is because you're going to remove off excess and then come in and layer it like I've shown you before. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you will know that by layering you will get that beautiful soft ombre. So we're pretty much done here. I'm just going to layer up at the bottom of this French. And then what we're going to do is we're going to remove some of the excess pigments off the surface of the nail. I'm using a really big soft brush for this, but look what I do. I brush once and then I twist that brush around. What I don't want to do is don't want to come back over the top of that brush. I'm going to twist that brush so that any excess doesn't go back over the top. So the blue doesn't go back onto the yellow. I'm going to add some more. See how I missed a little bit off the side of that nail? I have to tell you guys, when you're filming, it's so hard to see the whole of the nail, especially when your cameraman, my husband, is bugging you because your head's in the way. Right, okay, we've got base coat and we've got the matte top coat. Either one is okay for this job. So either one is going to leave a rough surface, not a super shiny surface. This is what we're wanting. We wanted something that's semi-porous, and that's going to allow you to add another top coat over the top of this. We're going to paint between this layer and the top coat layer. The reason why we're doing this, if I was to paint straight on top of that pigment layer, the water in my paint's just going to bleed into the powder and I'm not going to get crisp lines. So this is why we always base coat first. I use base coat, but you can use a matte top coat as well, which is no problem at all. The choice is entirely up to you. Wipe off that inhibition layer, make sure there's no sticky layer left at all. And now we're ready to paint. So I'm going to add that nail that I did before back onto this trio, only because it gives me a reference. I then have the lines, I can make sure that the lines are in the right thickness so that it looks like the weave is going across all 10 nails. So I'm using a striper brush for this. I rarely use striper brushes, but a striper brush is something that most people struggle with, and I'm going to show you how to use it effectively so you do get those straight sharp lines. Do you see how I've completely saturated all the bristles in my brush? I removed excess and then I added more paint. Before that, I added a little bit of water just to allow me some movement. Now, if you see my brush, see how it's lying down so that it's horizontal pretty much. It's lying down at an angle. I'm not using the tip of my brush, because if I use the tip of my brush, I'm actually going to lose some control. So you want to lay your brush down so it is pretty flat. Add a little bit more paint, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit because otherwise we're going to be chatting. We're going to run out of things to say while you're watching this. So you can see I'm just adding lines in one direction, and then I'm just going to turn my brush, and now I'm coming in an opposite direction, literally just making crisscross lines. Do not think or worry or look at the weave at the moment, okay? All you want to do is you want to get those lines in as straight as possible. Don't even worry if some of them are thicker or thinner than others, because we've got a cool little trick coming up in a minute that's going to correct all this for you. So I think we're done. We need to let that paint dry. And now what you want to do is you want to grab a little container, add a sponge to it, and now you can add cleanser, isopropyl alcohol, or monomer if you have it. Either of those materials or liquids will remove the paint effectively. Can you see now it was really important to get that base coat on there? So see how I'm just using a purple brush from Be Creative. It's just an old design brush that I've got handy. You want something that's got a point that's quite rigid. I generally use a size 4. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to now remove the lines that we don't want. And yes, we're going to tidy up those other lines as well to make them nice and straight and smooth. So all you have to do is work out where your lines or your lattice work run over the top of each other. Now you are going to need black squares. We're going to paint those in a minute. So you need to think, look at the lattice work that we've got on the screen here, and you're going to think, where am I going to remove the line in order for the ribbons to look like they're interwoven? So really just take a little screenshot, have a look at this woven design, and then you will be able to work it out. But you're literally just crisscrossing those lines so it looks like we're going to end up with multicolored ribbons that have just been interwoven. I know, it's clever, right? So I've obviously speeded this up. I'm not that clever. I can't work that quickly. I am quick, but not that quick. So we're just speeding this up a little bit because obviously once you have the basic principle, you know now how to do it. I don't need to have you sit there and watch me in real time because that does get a little boring, and you and I are both very busy. So we're done now. We're going to colour in those squares, and this is where your whole design comes to life. So all those squares that should be naturally left behind if you've done this correctly, all you have to do is colour in those areas. We're going to speed this film up a little bit. Now, you'll see some of my lines are a little bit raggedy. I'm going to go in with my brush and tidy them up, okay? So you just come in and you make them nice, and you can make them a little bit thicker as well. It's quite important really, because you want to define the difference between the front, the background and the foreground. And now all that's left to do when your paint is dry, guys, is top coat. You're done. How awesome does this design look? Make sure that you tip the edges with your top coat so that you don't get any chipping. pop this under the lamp and you're good to go. So what did you think? I hope you loved it, but let me know your results. Post it on our Be Creative Facebook page. I want to see what you guys come up with. And if you have a little twist on it, let me know.